What's up, everybody, and welcome back to A Beer a Day with TK. It's Wednesday evening here in Findlay, Ohio. That means it's WTF Wednesday. For those of you that may be new to the show, WTF Wednesday is the one day per week where I try beers that I normally wouldn't showcase on the show. So sometimes that means beers from macro breweries, sometimes it means some kind of odder flavored or weird things from microbreweries. But this week I'm going to go with Old Milwaukee. This is an old favorite for a lot of people. I'm sure many people had this back in their college days or high school days or something like that. It kind of caught my eye today when I went into the shop because it said Old Milwaukee Easyriders. Now, initially I thought this was some new Old Milwaukee, some kind of like specialty beer or some kind of, something else they put out that's new. But I came home, did a little research, and it appears it is not. It's just Old Milwaukee. But Old Milwaukee has paired up with Easyriders magazine. So, to people of a certain age, Easyrider brings up memories or kind of a visualization of people like Peter Fonda, Steve McQueen, and kind of the old spirit of cruising around America on a bike. For people my age, when I hear Easyrider, I think of Isaiah Rider, the basketball player, JR, Isaiah, Easyrider. Unfortunately, this beer is not inspired by Isaiah Rider, but by the magazine. It was kind of cool. I went onto the website for Easyriders, and it appears they've been around since 1970. And they kind of recognize that Old Milwaukee is, I guess, an iconic older American brand as well. They've been around since 1934. It was originally brewed by the Schlitz company, but I guess in 2000 or so, their assets and brands got sold to Pabst. So they're now part of the Pabst family, or whatever you want to call it. Again, for Old Milwaukee, for a lot of us, it's probably cheap college beer. But I did go and looked up the beers on Wikipedia, did a little bit of research on the brewery. And what I thought was really weird is this has actually won a bunch of medals at the Great American Beer Fest. So this is a 6-time medal winner. The last time was in 2010. So they didn't win in like 1907. These guys are actually winning awards still for this beer in the American lager category, which I thought was, kind of interesting. Also unique and interesting is that Old Milwaukee were actually the folks that introduced the party balls back in 1987. So again, for those of us that drank beer in the late 80s and 90s, party balls were kind of quite unique. Obviously, it's much smaller than a keg. It was a giant plastic ball, essentially, that you tapped and used like a mini keg. I can remember years ago trying to burn a hole in one because we had no way to open it. I don't even know if they're still around, but they were kind of a unique party item. A lot of people had them way back when. So they've invented party balls. They've teamed up with Easyrider magazine. Let's see what they got going for Old Milwaukee. As far as the ratings go, Untapped at 2.41, Beer Advocate at 2.33. The overall aggregate review was 57 awful. I don't know. 4.6% ABV. Couldn't find the IBUs. Going with the old Ben Franklin glass today. As to the pour, this thing is crystal clear. Light yellow color, crystal clear. You can see right through it. Fair amount of carbonation. Head, we've got 2 fingers worth of head on there. She doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's there. Smell. This smells kind of sweet, to be honest. You get that, like adjunct type smell. Kind of pick up sweet malt, and that's probably it. Taste. Let's give it a shot. It's a really light beer. I think the first thing that you pick up is a bit of sweetness. You do pick up a tiny bit of hops at the end. It's not really pronounced, but you can pick them up. A little bit of bitterness, a little bit of like that sweetness. I usually associate it with corn sweetness. I don't know if they actually have corn in it, if it's brewed with corn like an adjunct, but it's that same kind of sweetness I associate with adjunct lagers. It's not terrible. I haven't had this in quite a while. I think I checked in the one 3 or 4 years ago. It's the last time I had one. Before that, I don't know, it's probably been 20 years. Overall, I'd say this isn't as bad as I had expected it to be. I thought it'd be a lot less palatable. if you were comparing this to other craft beers, clearly it's not even in the conversation. But if I were to stack this up against, I don't know, your Millers and Buds and Coors and things like that, it's really not terrible. It's a drinkable beer. If I was at a party and somebody threw me one of these, I would drink it. Would I go out of my way and buy it myself? Probably not. I'll have to get through these other 5 at some point or leave them in the fridge for guests. But it's really not that bad of a beer. It's drinkable, it's sessionable, 4.6, pretty low ABV, fairly non-offensive. Like I said, a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of malt, not much else going on. So I'm kind of on the fence. Old Milwaukee, as bizarre as this sounds, I will probably give this a thumbs up. I would drink another one. Do I think that this is a really good beer? Certainly not. Do I think it's a 57 awful beer? No, I don't think it's that either. I think it's probably somewhere in between. If I were to give this a grade, with 0 to 100, this is probably a 70, barely passing, but it still passes. So, Old Milwaukee, Easyriders, which is just Old Milwaukee with a cool can. You get a thumbs up. I would drink another one. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit subscribe. And as always, if you have any comments or questions, jump in down below. Hey, if you remember the party balls, tell them what it was like. They were unique, weren't they?